reefs are the beating heart of our oceans. They support marine life, livelihoods, and culture worldwide, yet are among the most vulnerable ecosystems on the planet. In 2018, we set out with an ambitious goal to help some of the world's most treasured coral reefs and the communities that depend on them adapt to climate change. Enter the Resilient Reefs Initiative, an alliance of global partners, experts, reef managers, and frontline communities focused on solutions that address local threats and build resilience for what's to come.
Resilience is moving away from traditional management strategies which assume a stable system and assume that there can be certainty into a comfortableness with uncertainty and proactively managing for change.
The Resilient Reefs Initiative aims to effectively embed resilience-based management approaches into the everyday management of coral reefs, and in doing so bring along not only reef managers but reef communities, local government, industries, and create this large centre of gravity around coral reefs.
Since it began, the initiative has supported 34 on-ground projects across 4 UNESCO World Heritage reef sites: Belize, Palau, New Caledonia, and Ningaloo. Each site developed its own locally driven strategy to guide the future of reef management in their region, strengthening reef resilience for an estimated 300,000 plus people who call coral reefs home.
So coming from Palau, we are known to be children of the land and the ocean. And to be resilient, we have to understand that the conditions of our reefs are going to change. But what we can do is to be open for opportunities like Resilient Reef in order to adapt. And that is what, this initiative has began in my community.
We collaborated with more than 75 local organisations to turn ideas into action. In Palau, we helped establish a program management unit in government to support long-term sustainability and empowered communities to take practical action to protect their reefs. In New Caledonia, green fire breaks are helping to reduce waterway pollution, and communities are taking the lead in protecting vulnerable marine areas.
On a mis en œuvre 14 actions concrètes à l'échelle du territoire et on a aussi développé un document d'orientation stratégique qui définit les grandes lignes directrices pour protéger les récifs.
In Ningaloo, the next generation of ocean custodians have learned to assess coral health, and new research is helping to reduce boat strikes on large marine animals. In Belize, new coastal development policies are improving protection of vital blue carbon ecosystems, and coastal communities are learning new skills that can provide sustainable incomes.
Reef health does not begin at the reef alone. This strategy brought people together across sectors and across landscapes, linking land, water, and sea in a way that reflects how nature actually works and how all our lives are connected to it.
And now, these successes have catalysed an additional $15 million to expand this work in the Pacific. Because when reefs thrive, so do the people who depend on them.